This is part 2 of Square Up to Acrylic painting. In this video, we will prepare paper surfaces. If you're working on canvas or wood panel that's already been primed, you don't have to do this. And then we will be applying our first layer of transparent paint. I'm going to be using matte medium, liquid matte medium that I have thinned down with 50-50 water. You have to shake it up pretty good before you use it. And I have my drawing on my watercolor paper, and I'm going to seal the drawing in by putting this matte medium down, tape my drawing down so the edges don't curl, using a flat brush and quick strokes that go all the way across the paper, both vertically and horizontally, smoothing out my matte medium. I'll just work on this for several seconds to continuously blend the edges of the paint so that I end up with as smooth a surface as I can get. All the way to the edges, top to bottom, all moving vertically now, and then I'll go back and I'll just do all horizontal. I've got a little something in there, so I picked it out. Then I'm going to go all the way across horizontally, just smoothing out my edges so I don't have a bunch of ridges. Back to another smooth vertical surface. And then quickly make another pass of horizontal brush strokes across. After I'm done with that, I'll let it dry completely before I come to use paint. So my surface has dried, and I'm looking at the overall quality of color is reds, yellows, and oranges, and I will start with the lightest color, which is yellow. Start with the soft, flat brush, clear water. Here's my Hansa yellow, my quinacridone red, and my anthraquinone blue. All three of them are transparent. All three of them are pretty liquid. I'm using a disposable palette on the right. Usually I use glass, but I didn't want glare from the lights on the glass, so I'm using this disposable palette. Shake up my paint a little bit, put a little bit on my palette. I'm going to initially just mix it with water and thin it pretty well, so I have clean water and a flat brush. And then I take a little bit of the yellow off to the side, not in the middle of the yellow, just off to the side, and I make a puddle of thinned out yellow paint. I'm going to apply the yellow paint over the whole surface, but not like I'm painting a wall. I'm painting with strokes that reflect the forms and shapes that are in my painting. So I follow the edges. Even though everything's going to be yellow, I still follow the edges and let the brush marks help to create the shapes and forms. One thing I am doing is avoiding painting over the white highlights. If I hadn't primed this, I could possibly be picking up my graphite, and by priming it with the matte medium, I avoid that, and that way the yellow doesn't get muddy with those graphite, that dark graphite. But you can see that I use marks that follow the direction of the forms. I'm not just painting flat left to right or right to left. Thinking about the direction that the objects move in space and trying to make those kinds of marks to follow that. Every now and then a little something gets in my paint, so I pick it up with my fingertip. Thin my paint out a little bit more, rinse it out. Probably going to pick up a little more yellow here in a second. Well, not that time. There we go. So you can see I'm not taking a whole lot of paint at any one time, just a little bit, and then thinning it out off to the side. Once you've got that yellow layer down, you want to let it dry completely, so set it aside, let it dry. You could use a blow dryer on it, or you could just let it sit there. It doesn't take very long, maybe 15 or 20 minutes max with this thin of the paint, depending on whether it's warm or cool in your studio or whether it's humid or not. Anyway, we're going to let it dry and come back to it with the next layer.